What's going on YouTube? My name is Ole and welcome back to my channel. Today I got a quick video for you guys. We're going to be talking about the RunCam Thumb Pro. No, this isn't going to be a review video. There's a ton of review videos out there. Today I'm going to be showing you my creation on how I am going to be powering this camera off of different cell lipos. Yes, we're talking under 4S lipos. I know that if any of you guys have seen any reviews, especially Joshua Bardwell's review on this camera, he uses a cable made by iFlight, I believe, that's supposed to power a GoPro. But he uses it because it has a 5-volt output. He uses it to power the RunCam Thumb Pro. But the only issue is, as he said, it only goes to 4S and higher. So if you have a drone that's flying 3S or even 2S, you're out of luck. And today I'm going to show you my solution on how I got to power this camera off of a 2S, a 3S, a 4S, and a 6S lipo. So make sure you stick around. This is really going to be a good video for you guys if you're interested on solving that issue. And let's get into it. You will need to get one of these 5-volt regulators from iFlight, which works with 2 up to 8S lipos. This solves our issue with the micro drones running on 2 and 3S lipos. You're also going to need this connector here. This connector will help us move the regulator from one drone to another with ease. And these pins will be installed on the 5 and 36 volt and the ground pads. So this is going to be our input pins that is going to come from the drone. Let's go ahead and put some solder on these 2 pins right here. That's our input and this is our ground pin. Alright, so we got some good solder on there. Let's make sure that it's good on there, sits good, not coming out. And now we have our 5-volt out and ground, which I'm going to grab this wire here. As you can see, I'm only using red and black. The green and white I taped off. So let's go ahead and solder this onto our board here. Alright, we're going to pre-tin our pads here on the 5-volt regulator. So you have your ground pad right there and your 5-volt out. Now on the front there is a option for 12 volts, but we're not going to use that. So there we go, we got everything soldered on here, and now let's connect this wire. So we got red going on our 5-volt out. We need to there we go. That should do it. And get in there. There we go. Alright. So we got our, finally, we got our 2 wires on there. So that's going to be the wires that go to your camera. You're going to plug that into the back of your Thumb Pro. And you're going to get a steady 5-volt voltage output, which is not going to burn out your camera, so you can not worry about that. Now we're also going to need this little connector here, which is the female version to what we soldered onto the 5-volt regulator. And we're going to need, I'm going to use 2 of these. I'm going to make 2 separate cables with these. That way I can install one in one drone, one in the other, and I can easily just disconnect and move it to a different drone and have my camera working on both drones. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some heat shrink. I have this little heat shrink, so I'm going to put a piece on the individual red and black wires. That way it's not going to get shorted anywhere from any vibrations, or if you tug on it or anything. I know that inside it won't get shorted. So there we go, we got one on each. Let's go ahead and shrink that. Let's throw another piece on top here. This piece will just kind of hold everything together. I'm gonna go ahead and make the end a little bit bigger so it can fit over the top of the connector. So I'm going to use these needle nose pliers and just kind of spread it at the end, not the whole thing, but just the end, so we can cover the connector there. That should be good enough. Let's get it on here. There we go. That goes right over the connector. So now I have the solder completely hidden away, and I should be good now. Alright, so there we go. This is going to plug into our regulator just like so. Now I have the second cable here. I'm going to just put some heat shrink over it. But I'm only going to be making 2 of these because I'm going to be installing it on only 2 of my drones. So I got my main 5-inch drone right here. Alright, so this is going to be soldered onto my VBAT and ground. Give that wire a little twist to keep it all tucked in. Alright, so let's put a little bit of solder on these 2 pads. That is my VBAT and that is my ground pad. And let's do the negative first. So that's our ground wire, the black wire. And there we go. Boom, that's in. Let's get some tweezers, make this a little easier. Alrighty, let's go ahead and solder this in. There we go. Okay. So I got this all soldered, so this drone is pretty much ready. I'm gonna put this onto the side and I'm gonna grab my Larva X here. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna solder the positive and negative of the battery wires. I'm gonna solder this connector onto the same terminal. That way I could power my camera off of 2S, 3S, 4S LiPos. Let's get these little heat shrinks on here. Strip off just a little bit on the end. Alright, I got my Larva X here. I got my second cable prepared and ready to be soldered onto the drone. Let's start with the red. Let's get this pad warmed up. There we go. Nice. One done. Let's move on to our ground. Alright, that is holding on. There we go. So that's it. We got our second connector soldered onto the drone. Alright, now we're going to run some testing. We're going to make sure that we get 5 volts output no matter what cell we plug in, and we're just going to make sure that everything works. So we're going to start with the 5-inch. We're going to be using a 6-cell LiPo to power up the 5-inch drone. So let's get this ready. Let's plug in this 5-volt regulator. And I'm not going to plug it into the actual camera. I'm just going to test it on the connector and make sure I get my 5 volts out. Make sure that the regulator isn't touching anything so it doesn't short out to the frame or anything like that. Alright, let's power this on. There we go, that's running now. Alright, let's test our 5 volt and ground pins and make sure we get 5 volts. There we go, 4.98 volts, that's perfect. Let's unplug that. Okay, so that works. Moving on. Let's unplug this, move over the main 5-inch drone, and now let's try it on the Larva X. So I have these 450 milliamp hour 4S LiPos, so we're going to be trying it with this. Can't get the camera to focus, but you get it. 4-cell LiPo. Let's plug in the regulator. Make sure you're plugging it in correctly. So take a look at how your cable is set up, where is red or where is black, and make sure you plug in the regulator correctly. Now let's plug in the LiPo here. Alright. Now let's check for our 5 volts output. There we go. Again, we get 4.98 volts, which is very good. And so it works with 6S, it works with 4S, which means it's going to work with 5S. Let's move down to 3S. This is a 550 milliamp hour 3S LiPo. So let's go ahead and plug this guy in, and we'll test for 5 volts once again. Alright, it's powered on. Let's take our probes and let's test it. There we go, 5.0 volts, so it works with our 3S. One more thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try the 2S. This is a 450 milliamp hour 2S LiPo. This is as low as you can go with this regulator, so yeah, you can't do it on 1S, but I doubt anybody's gonna put a camera on 1S. And there we go. Oh, popped off there. Let's try again. We got 5.0 volts, so as you can see, this works with 2S LiPos, 3S, 4S, 5S, 6S. So there we go, problem solved. Now if you guys liked what I did here, please give me a like, subscribe, I really appreciate it. Put down some comments. What do you think of this? Do you like it? Do you think it could be improved? Are you gonna try to install this in your drones? So let me know in the comment section below. Alright, so let me show you what I'm thinking of how I'm gonna actually install it. So as you can see, right between the battery and the GPS, I got that pin right there. I got the connector sticking out. So what I'm planning to do, I'm gonna connect it here, place it on top of the LiPo, and then wrap the strap around it. Just make sure it's secured so it's not coming out. And that way you can keep it in there, and the wire is long enough so it'll reach the camera. Just give it a little tug, make sure that it's not gonna slip out from vibrations or anything like that. And the other thing I'm thinking is I'm gonna probably wrap it around in tape. I was thinking some kind of heat shrink, but I think I'm gonna do it in tape. That way I could give it a little bit more thickness, and it will have it will just be secured better under the strap there. So let's go ahead and plug the connector into the camera. There we go, get your angle right. And that cable is just long enough, so that's what it looks like. Here's the final product. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys find it useful. Comment down below what you guys think of it. Can I improve it in any way? What would you do differently? Let me know if you're gonna try this out. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Just as you see, it just came out, but make sure that it really sits in there tight. Maybe put a rubber band all around the battery and the connector and the wires, so keep it in there kind of better. But a lot of things you guys can try to mount it differently, but as long as it's easy to take off and swap it to a different drone, then we solved their problem today. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash that thumbs up, subscribe, I really appreciate it. Leave your comments down below what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.